Hello there, and welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete,
And this is Derek.
and we talk about video games. Woohoo! Trying out new intros here.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Derek?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. It's the winter season. Lots of time to play games. Big exciting year coming next year. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Anyways, we're going to talk about the video game awards, and we're going to talk about next year. And I think, I think it's like the 8th year of the video game awards now. I don't know.
It's been 8 years. Holy smokes!
It's been a while. I remember I watched it in 2012. So I guess it's been more than 8 years.
It's 10 years. What are you talking?
Bad math. I just remember I watched it in 2012, hoping that Nintendo would have some sort of big Wii U announcement, and they announced nothing. And that's when I kind of knew, I'm like, okay, I think the Wii U is not going to do that well. Because, the Wii U had barely any game announcements when it first came out in 2012, and I was hoping, the Game Awards would be this halcyon moment, but it wasn't at all. But anyways, Derek, you watched it live, I watched it live. What did you think, overall?
Yeah, overall, I'd say I liked it a lot. There are a few things that a few companies or games or things I was hopeful for that I didn't see. But, I saw a lot of new things that I was excited for, a lot of more concrete dates or trailers for games that we've known about. But now I can kind of full max out of my hype because it's coming soon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I liked it a lot. How about you?
I thought it was great. I actually think it was the best the Game Awards has ever been. I've watched every single one, and there's just a lot of times where it just runs long and it kind of gets boring. And this time it seemed they had a really good balance. I'm just, the overall show, considering they had a really good balance of reveals plus the awards plus tributes. It never felt like I was bored. And I just thought it was tightly run, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. The only time I was bored was when I think his name's Chris Judge.
Yep.
He just spoke for a long time.
But you know what? The thing is, yes, that was boring, but at the same time, it was the only speech that seemed to run really, really long, and it's been kind of memed so much that it almost became kind of funny. And I don't know if you know this, but apparently they delayed God of War Ragnarok because he had some really severe surgery he was in. And rather than recast him, they decided to wait for him to record. So I think there was a little bit of a more a deeper sentimental story there that maybe to the average person we don't know. But yeah, anyways, let's get into some announcements, because you know what? For me, I care more about the announcements than the winners.
Yeah, me too.
So I have kind of a list here. It's not in any order, but it seems to be kind of the bigger ones are first here. So let's jump in. I think the biggest unknown announcement that was made the entire night was probably Hades 2.
Yeah, I would say as far as games we had no knowledge of, that to me that was the biggest one as well. Yeah,
everything else seemed to have kind of a leak or a rumor about it. But the thing is...
Yeah, or sequels we know about. Yeah.
I don't think anyone predicted Hades 2 being shown here.
I think a lot of people thought that Supergiant Games was going to do a different game, just because they all, every time they make a new game, it's very, very different than their last games. Mm-hmm. But so it makes sense they're making a sequel because Hades 1 was so popular and so well received. I'm super stoked.
It won Game of the Year.
I can't wait.
I'm pretty sure Hades won Game of the Year at the Game Awards a few years ago. I could be wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I know it did win a number of Game of the Year awards. It was nominated, at least.
It might have won Indie Game of the Year, yeah. I don't know about Game of the Year, though.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Hades 2... I just know it was nominated a lot and got a lot of acclaim. And I know it did win actual Game of the Year awards. I'm not sure if it was at the VGAs that it won. But you're right. It was a huge game. I have to say, it was cool seeing Hades 2 announced. I'll probably buy it because it was such a cheap game. It was like $15. And it was also on Game Pass, but I'm not really
I wouldn't expect this to be the same price.
You don't think so? It'll probably be what, $40, $50?
Well, I mean, Hollow Knight was like $15, and I don't expect the next one to be $15 for it to be like $39.99 Canadian.
True. Okay. I don't know if I am that excited about Hades 2 because it does really kind of just look like it could. This is going to sound terrible. It looks like it could just be DLC or added levels and added weapons in Hades 1. At least from the glimpse we
Yeah,
got.
yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I just that's like kind of saying, oh, like Breath or Tears of the Kingdom, it could just be DLC. It's like it's a completely different game. I know that the fundamentals are the same, but you're right. Like there's still going to be a roguelite, still going through chambers where you fight things and you pick up those power ups. But I'm really excited to see all the crazy ideas that they didn't really fully develop for the first one, because I have a feeling they're just gonna have a whole bunch of crazy ideas and bosses and worlds and power ups and combos, and I'm just excited, and weapons, and I'm just excited to see it. Like you're right, it's going to be similar, but I still am really stoked for it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be one of those games that comes out in more of a quiet time, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'll pick it up. And I did enjoy Hades 1, even though I didn't beat it. Um,
Yeah, it doesn't have any release date though. Like I think it was said that they're trying to get early access, like a beta kind of going sometime in 2023, but they never committed to a release date for the game itself.
yeah, I would think that it would be kind of a mid-early 2024 game, just
Yeah, I agree.
based on
But
that.
it does look like they have a fair bit of content in the game already.
Yeah, I mean, it's already, and it's based on a framework that they already have. So that's cool. Still, a decently big announcement. Um, After, I mean, not after, but another big announcement or big reveal was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it comes out so super soon on March 17th. What do you think about this one, Derek? We knew this was coming, but it's the first time to see it.
Yeah, like we knew this game existed, and it was even leaked that this game would be shown, and I even knew the release date before it was shown because it was leaked. But yeah, like I really liked the first one. I was someone that didn't. I don't really care about Star Wars like a lot of people do, and it's made. Who is this made by? Respawn,
Respawn,
right?
yeah.
And I've never really played Respawn games, so when the first one came out, I just didn't really have a lot to cling on to. And then people said, "Oh, it's really good. It's like one of the best Star Wars games ever." So I played it, and it is kind of like that Souls kind of vibe to it, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited for this one too. I don't know if I'd get it day one just because it is a single player game. Um, but yeah, it looks good. It looks like it improved in every single way, and I think it's very popular, and I think the hype's there. I was reading that it's the most viewed video game trailer from the Game Awards, so I think a lot of people are really excited for this one.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I know about Respawn is that when they went from Titanfall 1 to Titanfall 2, there's a huge improvement. So,
Agreed. Yeah.
it kind of, I really think this will have that same level of improvement. And the way I see it is it's kind of like you're right, it is like a Souls game that's made a little more mainstream, but it's got that kind of AAA graphics that sometimes the Souls games don't have, and it's also got a little bit more of that Metroid platforming, unlockable stuff going on, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I thought what I saw in let's be honest, how many of these trailers were just CG? This one showed a lot of gameplay. They're clearly confident in it. It looked beautiful. The animation looks amazing. I mean, and it's next gen only. It's like yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, next gen only, but this is the first time we've seen gameplay of it, and this game's coming soon. So I always like that feeling of you see a gameplay trailer and it's coming in, what is it, 3 months from now? So yeah, I'm it's one thing to see a CG trailer or even snippets of gameplay and be like, 2024 release date, like vague.
Yeah.
But this is like, oh damn, like we're seeing parts of the game that we're gonna be able to. It's actually gonna be in the game. This is what the game actually looks like because it's coming so soon.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of pains me about releases like this is that I played the first, was it Star Wars Jedi Outcast? What's it called? Jedi Fallen Order, right?
Fallen Order, yeah.
Not the greatest names. Star Wars Jedi subtitle. I think they could have maybe made a better name. But I played that on Game Pass. So I just kind of get this feeling of like, well, do I want to spend $90 Canadian on this game? Or do I just kind of want to like have a really good experience on Game Pass a year later? It's just, I just would hate the idea of buying this and then it coming to Game Pass like the next day. Like I'd be pissed. So
yeah, you got, especially like as a Game Pass user, you really have to think about like which games do I have to play on day one and which games can I just wait and hope for it to be on Game Pass. The only thing though is, let's say, I mean, this game probably will come to Game Pass, but if a game never comes, you actually might miss out just because you're waiting for it. I was gonna say, and I also like the being part of the not that I'm going to buy this game day one, but being part of that kind of the culture of everyone playing the game at once, like I love doing that. So sometimes I'll buy a game day one just to be part of the discussion on it, you know?
Yeah, like the cultural zeitgeist around it. Like I remember with Resident Evil
Yeah.
8, I made the decision to just wait till it was cheaper, and I do feel like kind of by the time I played it, I got the general sense of what the game was and how people sat with it. And you know what I mean? I knew it was like an 8.5 for most people, where if I played it on day one, you really are going in like kind of trailblazing your own feelings about it in a kind of a weird way. That's it's I mean
Yeah.
very meta, but yeah, the other thing that's tough with this game is just the release date. Like you said, like it's wedged between Resident Evil and other things. And it's funny because like for people like you and me, we're probably saying, well, Resident Evil 4 is the obvious choice, and I'm sure that's what a lot of the hardcore older gamers are saying. But there's probably a lot of people saying, well, I'm not going to buy Resident Evil 4 because Capcom will drop the price and it's a remake. I have to get Jedi Survivor. So there's almost, I don't know if that's just kind of yours in my bubble that thinks, oh, Resident Evil remake, like nothing else should come out that month. You know what I mean? Like,
I, I think Resident Evil 4 remake will be insanely popular. It is. I mean, Resident Evil is a big franchise. It's probably their most acclaimed game, maybe next to 2.
You're right.
But everyone's really excited for this remake. But then I think it's actually the opposite. You and I aren't really in the Star Wars bubble. I think the Star Wars bubble is just insanely huge.
Yeah.
So I think both are going to sell unbelievably well. I think we're just both in the Resident Evil bubble, and we're not so much in the Star Wars bubble.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Resident Evil 4 remake will be probably could be their biggest Resident Evil game ever. Seeing that
Yeah.
I think Resident Evil 2 remake is their number one selling Resident Evil, and the second one is Resident Evil 4 over all the versions. So
Really?
I believe
Oh,
so.
over all the versions.
Yeah,
I
overall.
was gonna say Resident Evil 6 is like sold disgusting amounts.
Yeah, I couldn't. Don't quote me on that. It might be like Resident Evil 2, then Resident Evil 6, then 4, but they're all in the top echelon. Although
'Cause even 5 sold well.
and
Yeah.
even 7 and 8 are up there. But I think it goes without saying that this March, it's the top selling games will probably be either Star Wars and then Resident Evil 4, or Resident Evil 4 and then Star Wars. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, unless Bayonetta Origins.
We'll get to that. Okay, Bayonetta Origins.
Yeah. Even yeah.
Or Wolong.
There's a lot of games coming. Long. Yeah, there's a lot of games coming out.
Anyways, okay, so that's a big one. Another big one that you said you already knew about, but I didn't, was Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised by this because I thought that Kojima was knees deep into an Xbox exclusive.
So I mentioned this to you earlier. So as far as I know, Kojima's working on at least 2 projects. One is Death Stranding 2, and people knew about that. The other one I think is codenamed, or is actually called Overdose.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people, it's a rumor or codename of Overdose, and I think that's the Xbox exclusive.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
What do you?
But I think there's multiple Kojima.
What are your
titles.
thoughts on DS2?
Like the presentation value is so high, and it's such an interesting story. Like I've never really played Death Stranding 1 enough to know the story, but it seems like such an interesting, wild story that I want to know about it. So seeing this trailer makes me want to play Death Stranding 1 and actually just try to get through the first 5 or 6 hours to actually start getting into the game and really following along. But when I tried it last time, it just it is kind of just walking, at least for the first couple of hours. So, if I have some spare time, I'll give it another chance. I don't think this game's coming anytime soon. So I have lots of time to maybe give Death Stranding 1 a go again. But just because I haven't played the first one, this game, I don't think I'll ever get, just because I don't know if you can really jump into Death Stranding 2 and not have played Death Stranding 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think Death Stranding 2 is probably a 2024 game. Just, you know what I mean? They have the engine. They made Death Stranding 1 on PS5. I believe it is a PS5 exclusive in PC, right? It's not multi-platform.
I think it's PlayStation, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe PC too, yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing that would get me interested in DS2 would be a little bit of an overhaul of the game. I mean, I remember looking into DS1 a lot, and the actual like third-person shooter mechanic looked really kind of boring. And I've found personally, like I'm not really a Kojima fan. I loved Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, and I found 4 and 5 just kind of went off the rails, and I'm just really not into his style of egregious storytelling.
Yeah.
And when I learned that Death Stranding 1 has like a 2 hour intro cutscene, it was just like I don't want to touch that with a 50-foot pole. At least for
Yeah.
me, as I've gotten older, I've kind of swayed more to like to the gameplay side. Like I really want like core gameplay versus presentation and
Mm-hmm.
story. That's why we'll talk about another game later that you're probably surprised that I'm interested in because it's going to be so gameplay focused. Where I'm less story, I'm very sensitive around a game that's very story focused. Like it has to, like only really Naughty Dog can kind of get that, westernized sensibilities of a Hollywood movie that lines up with what I like. So if a game has a lot of cutscenes and story, it's honestly a pretty big turnoff for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why I've swayed a little bit away from Sony in general.
Yeah, like I feel the same. For the most part, I skip stories too. Like there might be the odd God of War or even Horizon I wasn't fully into. But yeah, I'm the same. Gameplay is king. That's why I think you and I just naturally gravitate towards Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you jump like it's so funny. Like we were playing Splatoon yesterday, and when the new maps came up, just having to click through those new maps. Like when it's a special event, you can't just R3 it or
Yeah,
whatever. You have to click through it. Like to me, that for a Nintendo game feels like a slog. It's like I just want to play the game. So
yeah.
that's why, yeah, for the most part they're good. But yeah, I agree. Story isn't much to me.
Yeah, and speaking of Splatoon 3 with those kind of intro things, I think it's honestly just a way to tell users what's there. Because you got to imagine if you're like some 9-year-old kid, you're not going on message boards and watching Nintendo Directs and counting down the days for a new DLC update. Like, it'd be nice to imagine turning it on for the first time, like, whoa, there's new stuff.
Hmm.
So there's something kind of neat about that. Anyways, that's not the point. Let's. You mentioned a game there, Horizon Forbidden West. This also got a DLC expansion announcement yesterday, coming in April. Was this rumored? Did people know this was coming?
I had no idea. Like I'm not surprised because the first one had DLC. I don't remember it coming so quickly after the original game though. So I was kind of surprised that this. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that there's DLC at all, but I'm surprised it came so early. You and I are going to talk about our things we're most stoked for in 2023. This is one of my honorable mentions. It didn't make my list, but I'm really, really excited for this.
Interesting. Okay, because the thing that I'm curious about and actually got me interested is that it's PS5 only, so it's not going to be hampered in any way by the last generation systems.
Hmm.
And also, it seems to be really focused on the flying aspect. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's really been a big open world designed around flying through the open world. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe like GTA with the planes, but this seems like it could be really, really cool to fly around kind of like a washed up Hollywood.
I
And
think it's going to be,
yeah,
yeah. I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna be a bunch of islands. Almost, it's gonna feel like kind of a Hawaii kind of thing, but it's gonna be just Hollywood. That's the water levels raised, and we saw that glimpse of that giant mecha robot. I have a feeling you're gonna be able to fly through it as you're fighting it and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to see what they bring. Just like you said, the fact that it's only PS5 means that they're gonna be able to push it. And you know what, like they're known for having some really amazing graphics. So the fact that they're not bound by the PS4 anymore means that this is going to be probably a looker and pretty awesome to play.
yeah, and I do think it'll probably be on the shorter side, right? It'll probably be 3 to 5 hours, right? Just given how fast it came out, and it's coming out in April. So,
Yeah.
and that is a good thing for me. I like little, but I like shorter, kind of more condensed games. And I
I
do
mean,
wonder if I would,
you'll never play it though.
but would I be able to just buy Burning Shores?
No, no way.
Probably not. Okay. I did
No.
see some people online who are a little bit upset because they have the PS4 version and they're like, "Great, like I'll never be able to play this." So
Well, it's a free upgrade when you have a PS5, so
oh, it's
you can.
free.
The PS4 to PS5 upgrade for Horizon Forbidden West is free.
Oh,
So
okay.
so once you have a PS5, just download the PS5 version and then buy Burning Shores. So it's like I understand them, like they want to play the game on the PS4 and the DLC on the PS4, but at some point we have to migrate to the PS5,
I'm
and
with you.
this is when they decide to do it. So let's do it.
I'm with you. Yeah, and it's funny, not funny, but if you look at Sony's lineup again this year, very strong, right? Coming out, they have obviously all the games that Resident Evil and Dead Space and all those big games coming in the first quarter. Not to mention PSVR, and then right away in April after the first quarter they've got this. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know how Sony. I don't know how Sony does it so well, and Microsoft just like it's like Sony's
They have
juggling.
nothing.
Sony is
Yeah.
able to juggle three balls, and Microsoft just seems to be trying to play with a deflated basketball in the corner.
What an analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is my April game. Like I'm really excited for this. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like Microsoft, I just find is barren. Like even Starfield, their big title for next year, was supposed to be the big title for this year. Where's the release date? Like that's what they should have shown. Like show us that with the release date. Just do a sizzle trailer. Unless they're not confident it'll hit. Anytime. Unless they're not confident in a release date yet, which is scary.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this at the end a little bit, but I was really taken aback by how little Microsoft showed. And you're right, like, you'd think that, I mean, I told you the one prediction I was so sure of coming into this Video Game Awards is like, Redfall has to get a release date announcement. Was supposed to be 2022, then it got pushed to 2023. They've shown tons of gameplay, they've shown tons of developer videos. It's like, I was predicting they were going to drop a April release date on that. And the fact that we still don't have a release date or using this big opportunity to market the game, it doesn't bode that well that it's coming like before August. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm crazy and this is just a rumor, but didn't someone say that Xbox is having a showcase in January? Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but
Okay, maybe it was just someone talking, but yeah, like I was gonna say, if that's not the case, I'm worried that Redfall is gonna be the game for the year, and Starfield will be pushed again. Like I'm worried that it'll be like, oh, like September, October, Redfall comes out, that's their big holiday game, and then 2024 sometime is Starfield.
I don't think so. Just because I mean, who knows? You could be right, but there was an interview with Todd Howard from Bethesda, like the director of Starfield, and he said that they could have gotten Starfield out 2022. He's like if we really wanted to, he said like we could have like I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of like they could have crunched it out. And I mean, probably is buggy and unfinished and needing more DLC. Probably would have got a 75 on Metacritic type of like botched release. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that kind of means that maybe like maybe if they have this January showcase, it's gonna be this amazing big June release. Or if they really have the kahunas, they put it May 12th right next to Zelda. I'm kind of predicting that we get Redfall maybe midsummer, and then we get Starfield in the fall.
That's what I expect that to be the same case. July, June for Redfall, and then the holiday game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. Like I have Xbox, and it's like on one hand I'm pretty disappointed in them because even with Sony and PS5, like it seems like one of the most disappointing generations as far as like moving towards the next generation ever. Like it's the most incremental updates. The prices are high. It's hard to find the consoles, and like there's just been not really that thing that's like, whoa, this is the big PS5 thing I'm burning and itching for. Or Xbox. It's just been kind of like it feels like a milk toast generational jump. And at least Sony has had a good number of exclusives, a good number of PS5 exclusives, and I don't think Microsoft has had a single first party exclusive for Xbox Series other than Flight Simulator. So it's been just so disappointing on that front, especially considering they're buying every developer for the last 5 years. But on this, so I'm disappointed on that front. But on the same token, Game Pass has just been amazing for me, and it has been my ability to play games like Resident Evil and the new Dead Space in its highest quality. But it does
what's
seem
kind
like
of interesting
next.
is
Sorry,
there you go. You go.
I was gonna say it does seem like next year is the first year we're really stepping into next gen.
Yeah, I agree. I think next year is when we kind of start to see kind of just PS5 exclusive or Xbox exclusive. I was gonna say it's kind of interesting because we have Bethesda that got bought by, or ZeniMax Studios that got bought by Microsoft, and they usually put out a fair good stream of games. But I mean, like what did they put out this year besides like they put out what's the game? The Dishonored game that's not Dishonored.
Death
De-
Proof. Death
Death
Loop.
Proof, like
Death Loop.
Death Loop. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. So I'm just surprised that like I would expect just from ZeniMax alone that they would be producing more games more frequently, because unless Microsoft is saying, whoa, slow down, we gotta make sure our output's good and aligned better. But it's like, before they were bought by Microsoft, ZeniMax is putting out a game or two or three every year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they did have
So
Ghostwire Tokyo. So
true.
they are releasing like a game a year, but you're right. Maybe there's some sort of structural changes, but we also know with this new generation, the ambitions have gone up, and now games are taking up to 5 years for development.
True. And we had COVID and all that, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to the next thing on this list here. They did so Nintendo kind of. We'll talk about the Nintendo announcements here. They didn't have much to show. They first showed off a new Bayonetta Origins, and I don't know. Like when I first saw the Bayonetta clips, I'm like, oh, what Bayonetta 3 DLC? Oh yeah, new levels, new weapons. I'm so into this. And then it's kind of looks like an indie. It's like an indie style game. It's got really nice graphical presentation for an indie game.
Is it an indie game though? Why are you saying it's an indie game?
I'm just saying it's indie game because where it doesn't seem to have the same like high octane camera controlling, big action as Bayonetta 3 or 2 or 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's what makes a Bayonetta game or an indie game an indie game.
Well, I guess it's kind of blurred what an indie game is. I guess it just looks. I guess the production value to me looked like it was on a much smaller scale. It's clearly not an indie game. It's being published by Nintendo, but indie in the sense that it's not a major, full hands-on deck, hundreds of developers on board production. It's going to have a massive marketing budget. Like it seems like it's going to be kind of a smaller release. What do you think?
Yeah. Like I don't necessarily. You're right. It's not a juggernaut of a game like Bayonetta 3 with the name, but I don't know if I agree because I think of a game like to me it looks like the game Okami, where it has that graphical style. It looks like it's kind of an open. I don't want to say open world, but kind of more of an exploration adventure, kind of still with some combat to it. But I think it's more of a story, and the graphics are. I don't want to say they're worse. They're just a different style. They're a little bit more like that chibi style, more kind of vibrant colors. It's not for me, but I wouldn't say it's indie, and I wouldn't necessarily go in with low hopes. It looks like a lot of people are quite interested in it just because it's more story focused. It's less sexualized. It just kind of has it's just a different. I'm just saying like people are interested because it's not Bayonetta, but it's still Bayonetta.
Yeah, but here's where I draw the distinction: is that with something like Okami, the camera was not fixed. And the camera was not pulled back in fixed perspective. You had full 3D camera controls. And to me, I know that that's not a big difference for some people, but it is for me. Like, I find a game where I'm running around with full 3D camera controls is, like, so much more immersive than something where you're kind of looking down in a fixed perspective. Not to naysay things with fixed perspectives, but there is something much more epic and immersive for me at least. So something like Bayonetta 3 where I'm like in the ground fighting these giant things versus kind of looking down on the chibi cel shaded monsters doing it. It does seem even less ambitious than Okami in that sense.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I'll wait and see. I just don't want to. I wouldn't be so quick like you to just say it's an indie, it's a smaller game or whatever. I think it's just a different style and it'll suit different people. And I think it'll sell well and be big. I
don't think it'll sell well and be big at all. It's full price. It's a full price release, just FYI. So it's on Nintendo's website. Same exact price as Tears of the Kingdom. Same exact price as Bayonetta 3. So I've gotten in some discussions with people about this on the Fanny boards, and some people think, well, so was a Link. So are a lot of top-down Zelda games. So they're like, you don't know that there's not towns and multiple paths and bosses and a great involving, narrative here. And I'm like, you're right. But at the same time, the trailer didn't really indicate any of that to me. The trailer seemed pretty simple. And the other thing to your point about it being more story-focused, that's not at all what I wanted of Bayonetta. And I don't really know, I don't quite understand the mindset of, yeah, Bayonetta's got a great story. I want to see more story from Bayonetta. So that doesn't sit in my brain. you know.
It doesn't for me either, but I'm saying for a lot of people it does. And honestly, I'm watching the video right now. I think this looks pretty good. Like the graphics look pretty good. It looks kind of fun. I'm somewhat interested.
So I guess my stance is that I'm somewhat interested too, but now that I know it's full price, I'm on the fence of this game needs to prove why it's full price, not on the fence of, oh, it's interesting, maybe I'll look into that. Now it's like,
Yeah,
no, full price, you have to prove that you're a little more than just a, linear quasi puzzle action game,
yeah, like Kirby, Forgotten Land.
but Kirby Forgotten Land, quite a bit different. Because at least
It's like it's a linear 3D game that's 6 hours, fixed camera. It's pretty similar actually.
I don't know. I would say that with Kirby, which is one of my on my top 10 game of the years, there's a town and there's side stuff and there's a gauntlet and a huge end game, and also where the camera, sure, the camera's fixed, so to speak. You can't move it. It is much lower into the action where you're feeling like you're in a giant 3D space with Kirby, where this game has the camera shifted to a top-down perspective practically, where it's just less immersive. I mean, maybe that's just me. I just feel where the camera is closer, lower to the character, it's a little bit of a more immersive experience.
I just wouldn't assume that this has less value in gameplay than that Kirby game. And if you bought that I would give this the benefit of the doubt. Like they obviously showed it at the Game Awards for a reason. They are marketing it as a full price game for a reason. So I would say it's at least on par with the Kirby game.
And that's the argument that someone on the Family boards made. He goes, give them the benefit of the doubt. They're not pricing it full price if it's not doesn't have the value of a full price.
Yeah, because Nintendo actually does do cheaper games. Like they're not afraid to do a $65 game.
Absolutely. I mean,
Canadian.
Captain Toad, and Captain Toad's a beautiful game, and it was always discount price. I guess for me, from a marketing perspective, as someone who generally buys a lot of Nintendo games first day full price, they maybe could have done a little more in the marketing to make me realize that this game had more of an enriched value. Because when I first watched the trailer, I was like, oh, that's cool, a $20 or $30 spin-off. So the only thing that really triggered me with this negativity is the high price. So I guess maybe I should be a little more optimistic about it. I mean, they are going up against Resident Evil and Star Wars.
Yeah.
Nintendo, they also showed another Mario Bros. Movie clip. What'd you think about this?
I only watched it today. It was okay. Like I liked the theme song of being the game in the movie, which was awesome. But I mean, the humor is kind of exactly what you expect from this kind of a movie. I still don't think Chris Pratt's a good fit. I like all the the homage they play to that are put in the movie.
That's what got me.
I mean, again, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna watch the movie, but I still think it's gonna be kind of a okay movie. It's not going to be like, this is the best. I don't think it's going to be phenomenal.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, so watching this trailer, actually, I had a much more positive impression after it, because for one, the graphics are just amazing. Second of all, like you said, the Easter eggs just get me. You know what I mean? Like, I just love that, and they pack so many in the background. I really love that. It's not just like, oh, hey, look at this one thing in the middle of the screen. It's like you're looking at these rich details and seeing like this Toad Town, and I love that. And the other third thing that I thought was a kind of a positive was there's so little Chris Pratt in the trailer. Like, he speaks so little that I'm almost starting to feel like maybe the movie doesn't have him have a lot of dialogue. Like, maybe it's just kind of one of those, he's kind of on the adventure, but he doesn't actually have like a lot of dialogue. And that would be a best case scenario for me, is having him speak as little as absolutely possible.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm actually hoping that they'll come out in the next couple weeks and say we're going to recast and get a new voice and redo it really quickly, like a Sonic movie thing,
They would never do that.
Yeah, maybe some like really bad dirt will come out on Chris Pratt, and then they'll just be like, we can't in right conscience keep Chris Pratt's voice in this movie anymore. Like he gets seen with Kanye West or something.
That's the dream. That's the dream scenario.
That's the only scenario that will save this movie. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still gonna buy advance tickets and see it on the first day it comes out. So. The third, and I guess Nintendo did have some commercials sprinkled in, but the third thing they kind of showed was that they had a new Fire Emblem Engage trailer, and they announced that the expansion is coming out the same day as the first game. I found this to
The
be
season pass,
the season pass.
the first part of the season pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that a little bit distasteful to promote like additional cost before the game's out. I don't know why. And the trailer did nothing for me. It actually kind of in my mind looked worse than what we saw before. And I don't know. I just find the art style a little really garish this time around. And to be honest, if I was going to get into a Fire Emblem, I'd probably just buy Three Houses. This doesn't appeal to me at all. What do you think? You're the Fire Emblem guy.
I mean, I didn't really like Three Houses, but I like actually the style of this game. It looks a little bit more zany, which is kind of what I like Fire Emblem for. Is all the characters kind of had a really unique look to them. The thing though is I'm with you on the DLC. You know, the fact that they're already charging and the first DLC pack comes out the same day, that actually, in my opinion, has soured me so much in the game that I probably am not going to get it day one. Just 'cause I think it's just ridiculous. Like I don't think companies should do that where they're saying, hey, like if you want to buy, you can get our season pass, and some of the content's coming out the same day. It's like, so why don't you just put that in the game?
Yeah.
And I know other companies do stuff like that too, right? They have, you know, pre-order bonuses and all this kind of stuff, but still I find that kind of scuzzy.
And correct me if I'm
So
wrong, but Fire Emblem's DLC in the past, like at least the Fire Emblem DLC when I played in Awakening, wasn't really that exciting. It was just kind of like some new maps, and it wasn't like you got full on new characters. So I don't know what this is actually offering, but the Fire Emblem DLC always sound kind of boring to me.
Oh, sometimes the Fire Emblem DLCs are like new campaigns or like multiple levels with multiple characters, including the one in Three Houses. This one looks like there's some more characters and some more, probably some more missions eventually, but I think this one's just mainly some characters. Yeah, like I probably will not get this day one.
Yeah, I'm curious how this one's gonna do sales wise. I actually have a feeling it'll do significantly worse in North America on Switch than Three Houses.
I agree.
I don't know why. Just the time of year, and it just seems like it's where Three Houses was like the big new Fire Emblem on consoles, but like this just doesn't have that same allure. And I don't think the nostalgia for old Fire Emblem characters is that strong outside of the hardcore fan base. It's not like it's not like Smash Bros where we're putting Sonic in it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know most of these characters. So
Yeah, the only thing I will say though is the reason that Fire Emblem became big in the West was Awakening, right? It sold like crazy, is because of the kind of like the waifu, like pretty girls that you can pair up with your guys.
is that
and have
why?
Kids or whatever.
Is that really why?
I think that it's actually a bigger selling point than people realize.
Okay.
And I think, you know, Three Houses was very, they're students, they're all wearing student clothes, that just a different style. And this one is playing and pushing very hard of like the cutesy, you know, girl face that are all wearing scantily clothes or whatever. Like I think, I mean, we'll see. I think that actually is a bigger driving for sales than we realize.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, what attracted me back to into Fire Emblem with Awakening was I just thought the graphical presentation and the fact that it was on 3DS was like a perfect marriage, you know? But my understanding is that Three Houses is the best-selling Fire Emblem ever.
I think every franchise on the Switch is basically that's true for.
Yeah, except for Bayonetta 2. 3, I mean. But also, I believe that Fire Emblem Warriors that just came out this year already sold over 1 million copies. So it's like there is this market of Fire Emblem, and it's not the kind of series they need to sell 5 or 10 million. But I'm like, for our Metacritic Fantasy League for Fire Emblem, like I have no idea. Like, you know what I mean? Because Fire Emblem Three Houses was like 89. I don't know if it's gonna. I just have no concept of how this is gonna be received. So I'm really.
Yeah,
because
it really could be. One. Yeah, especially because reviewers are going to compare it to Three Houses. So they love Three Houses and hate this, they're going to drop it. But if they hated Three Houses and love this, they could give it really high. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows on that one. So later in the show, they had a Crash Bandicoot full costume mascot come out, and this harkens back to those old commercials. I don't know if you remember those commercials from the 90s. Where the guy in the
I remember
suit
them.
went outside of the Nintendo kind of funny. It's kind of funny that he made fun of Mario, and now it's like, Mario Odyssey sold more than every Crash game combined. Uh, it's like we know who won that one. But anyways,
Yeah.
so we got out there, and to be honest, at first I'm like, okay, Crash 5. I wasn't huge on Crash 4, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll announce a brand new Crash 5, next gen only. Maybe it'll look amazing. They'll kind of bring it back to basics. No, it's some sort of weird Rumble 4 versus 4 multiplayer game, and I just couldn't want this less. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, this looks like absolute. I mean, this is a game that I have a feeling it'll be on PS Plus either or Game Pass or whatever day one or early on.
Yeah.
And I would give it a go with my friends or whatever if it has couch or if my friends wanted to play. But I would play this game for maybe like 3 hours tops and never play it again.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's going for that market of. You remember that EA, was it EA, the dodgeball game they released?
Yeah, exactly. I liked that game.
I don't want to. What are these games called? They're not like MOBAs. What are they? They're like arena shooters, right? Like arena action shooters. Is that what you call
Yeah,
them?
like they're like arena. I don't know, battle arenas.
Yeah, like they need to coin a term for it. But to me, this is
I
the
mean,
kind of game.
I mean, they are kind of MOBAs, but
Yeah,
sort of, not really. Yeah.
not really, because I think MOBAs are more top-down perspective, right? But
That's not true. There's a first-person MOBA.
Oh, then I don't know what a MOBA is. Multiplayer online battle arena, right?
Yeah, usually it's like games where you take those turrets and you push the enemy's base, but they're not
Okay.
always top down.
Huh.
But yeah,
Yeah, this is the kind of game where it seemed. I mean, to be honest, this genre as a whole seems to be one of those genres where it's either a hit or a miss. So it's the kind of like Crash Team might be one of those games that becomes the next thing everyone's talking about, and then we have to download it. I don't even know. Maybe it's free to play. But I don't have high hopes. You know.
I just find this market is so saturated, and anyone that would come play this like already is their feet are firmly planted on other games. Like it's really hard to break into these kind of markets where the people they want to play this game are already playing 15 other games with better brand recognition by this point,
And with
bigger
their friends,
games.
already formed teams.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, I mean, at least for me, I love 3D platformers, and it's just to me kind of just a little disappointing to be like, well, this is one of the few 3D platform icons we have, and it's just disappointing that you're deciding to kind of like chase a trend versus being another awesome single player 3D platformer. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Crash has other side games too, though.
I know. Yeah.
That's like being like a Mario baseball comes out. You're like, oh, I wish they were just doing a Mario 3 platformer. It's like, well,
It's like, okay, well, relax. Yeah.
yeah.
The game after this was rumored and was kind of one of my biggest surprises of the whole thing. It's Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. Now, Armored Core is a series that came out, I think the last one was for PS5, and I don't think it was that well received. It was kind of before
PS5.
Sorry, PS3. Way off. PS3. And I think it was kind of like a lesser liked game. It was kind of before From Software hit their stride with the Souls kind of rabbit hole. And so the idea that I've heard online, because apparently this there's a leaker who claimed about this a while ago, and what now everything I've said has come true, and they're kind of saying that this is going to be almost like a Soulsborne mech game. And I'm all
Kind of like The Surge.
I don't know anything about the Surge, but I'm all for that. Like if it's open world in the same way that Elden Ring is, like a little like not which I think it would be. I'm like I'm all for this because I thought the art direction in that trailer was some of the best art direction. I think probably the best art direction of the entire show, and I was so blown away by some of these visuals, and I'm like, wow, like just that setting to me. Done with modern, like From Software has clout now. They've got a huge team. They've got money. They've got like, you know what I mean. They're not like a small Japanese developer anymore. And to get the full third party, the full AAA might of From Software behind a mech game in a dystopian future, like that's right. I'm all for that. Like I'm all for
Yeah,
that.
so I mean, I don't know a lot about Armored Core. I'm excited for this too. A few things I'll say is I heard that the person who's leading this game is the guy who was the lead
And
developer
Sekiro.
for Sekiro.
Yeah.
And while I agree with you, like, FromSoft has like this triple A might power, their fame now. I don't know if this game is going to be as mind-blowingly good-looking as the trailer is. Just because, again, it is on PS4, and FromSoft doesn't. They have jankiness in their games. They have unpolished parts of their game. So even though this trailer looks good, and I am excited for this game, and I think it's gonna be really, really fun. I'm not going in expecting it to look the same quality as Horizon Forbidden West or
Certainly not.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it kind of hits a similar quality to Elden Ring, I'll be happy. And I think the thing that
Yeah.
gives them a little bit of leeway is because you're on a flying mech. It's not like it has to have a connected world and stream all the stuff from a connected world. Like you could have like an island base that's like a whole, almost like a quasi dungeon, and you can conquer that, or you can fly over there and go to this area. You know what I mean? And then it streams in that next area a little cleaner. So I think it'll have that style, if that makes any sense. But I don't know. It's definitely on my radar. The one thing that kind of confuses me is it's coming out this year and they didn't show any gameplay, and I'm just kind of like, well, is From Software able to pump out AAA games at that fast of a rate? Because Elden Ring only came out last year.
So they said it was coming next year. I can see it being a
2023.
holiday game. Yeah, I can see it being a holiday game maybe if they have two teams and this game was already like, because Elden Ring took them a while, so they could have already been working on this game for the past few years and are just finalizing it. I am about 95% sure though that this game will not hit 2023.
Same.
Like they're just like, I'd be blown away if it did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like the art direction and the name and the things behind it are on my radar, but there's not much else to go on there.
Exactly.
Definitely on my radar though, and if a good announcement like oh cool, like this is coming, like there's more things to be excited about. So that's awesome. Later in the show, which this is one of the kind of the finale announcements, they showed this Final Fantasy 16 Revenge trailer. I'm of the opinion that this looks like a solid, good Final Fantasy game, but still not something I would buy. What do you think?
To me, this looks like it's probably the best Final Fantasy ever. It looks really, really awesome. The gameplay looks right up exactly the kind of gameplay I want for a game like this. I don't, again, with such a crazy first 6 months, I can't see myself getting this day one, but I definitely 100% will be getting this game eventually. It looks awesome.
I can see it getting pushed because June's pretty close to Zelda and a lot of other games, and they just.
I don't see it getting pushed. There's no way.
You don't think?
No, heck no. I think it's in a great spot right now. Nothing is too close to it.
I meant like a one or two
Final
month
Fantasy
delay. Like a delay to September.
I think the only reason they would delay that is because it's not done, and I think they're pretty confident it's coming that day.
I guess for me, I mean, the fact that it's PS5 only, again, when you think of the lineups of PS5, it's more when I'm thinking about in those terms. PS5 is just has a great lineup, right? And brand new exclusive numbered Final Fantasy in June. They've got they've got what's it called coming in January, that other RPG. What's it called again? Forspoken.
Forspoken.
Horizon, all the third party games. It's like, man, come on, Microsoft.
But in Destiny 2 Lightfall, I know it's
multi-platform.
I know it's multi-platform, but now that they own Destiny, now that they own Bungie, I can see it heavily favoring Sony like it has before.
Yeah.
Like a week before. Yeah.
I think the thing that Final Fantasy 16, again, with Final Fantasy 13, the story seemed so bad to me, and it's so cringy. I just don't know if I still trust the storytelling sensibilities of Square. I still think that this game might have cool DMC style action, but you're going to be doing a lot of boring story that makes no sense and a lot of traversal. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Final Fantasy 13 was a little hokey. Final Fantasy 15 was pretty good, but you're right. It was a bit confusing. I think most Final Fantasies have a pretty somewhat confusing story. But even from this trailer, I kind of understand what's happening. Some prince kid dies, and you're on a vengeance quest or something. Like I don't know 95% of the story of most Final Fantasy games I played.
Yeah.
But I at least know the main. I know the main story beats. It's like, I'm trying to kill this bad guy.
Stop the evil.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I really need. Like, this game just looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I saw some people talking online about it, how there hasn't really been, other than Final Fantasy VII remake, there hasn't really been a really, really big popular Final Fantasy. Like, there was a long time where by the time Final Fantasy 13 came out, it seemed like a absolutely mega franchise, because you had all these gamers with all this nostalgia for Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and potentially even the Super Nintendo ones. But now, does the Final Fantasy brand have as much strength, given that, a 22-year-old of today grew up without really having that? I know Final Fantasy VII Remake did really well, but it's just interesting how some people think that this brand isn't quite as strong as it used to be. But
I would put it on the same level as Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, just doesn't do a lot for me. Anyways, let's get into some other things they showed during the VGAs, because there's a huge list here. BioShock.
Okay.
There's a new.
It's gonna be a long podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over some of these because they're not. There's a lot here, but
yeah, no worries.
Ken Levine. I guess he's working with Take 2K Games still, and they're making like a new BioShock, but it's not BioShock. It's like a spiritual sequel called Judas.
Mm-hmm.
It looks cool art direction wise, but they didn't really show much. What do you think?
I thought it looked kind of cool. People are saying it looks like BioShock in space.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. I want to see more of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and BioShock Infinite, I know it gets a lot of backlash for the story, but I thought the controls and the gunplay was pretty fun, especially for a PS3 game.
I
really
liked
liked
it. All three BioShocks. Yeah.
I liked the first one. I never even played the second one.
The second one's good.
Oh yeah, it seemed like kind of just a retread of number one. They showed they showed Suicide Squad again, which I found like a kind of a weird trailer that focused on Kevin Conroy, the Batman voice, the man who voiced Batman who passed away. It almost felt a little bit disingenuous to try to like lean into that so much. It's almost like they're trying to get sales from his death. Being like, this is the final time. It's like, why don't you show us some gameplay? Like, you showed us gameplay a year ago in your open world. It's been a year of it's been delayed for almost a year. Comes out 2 weeks after Zelda, and like, you got to impress me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I was surprised it didn't have any gameplay. I mean, as far as the Kevin Conroy thing, like, I think it's a little bit also a tribute to him, and they're excited about it, but I don't honestly. I try to believe in the good of humans that they're not just trying to do that for sales, but I don't know.
I mean, who knows? The trailer seemed to be kind of like, hey, this is the final voice of Batman trailer. But still, I'm glad it got a new date. I don't see it slipping from that date, but I'm still kind of. I mean, we'll see. The delay actually made me lose a little bit of faith in it. But Rocksteady, it's Rocksteady, right?
Yeah, and for me, not seeing gameplay, it was kind of like get me hyped by the gameplay.
Yeah, I still feel like some of these developers and marketing teams don't understand that, or maybe you and I are just in a bubble where everybody loves CG trailers but us. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind CG trailers. I just want to show me like at least 20 seconds of gameplay in your 2-minute trailer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They have a Celeste follow-up called Earthblade, which is going to come in 2024. I bet you're hyped for that one.
I'm excited. Has no. It's the game after Celeste, but it has no relation to it.
Well, I figure that it's still going to have the extremely tight platforming controls.
Yeah, it'll have definitely some platforming, but like, did you ever play Towerfall?
No.
So Towerfall, it was first Towerfall, then Celeste, now Earthblade. So even Towerfall has some pretty nice controls. So yeah, I am excited for this in the platforming. I just don't. I think Celeste is like a hardcore platforming, and this looks a little bit more like almost like a Metroidvania.
Yeah, which actually looked cool to me. I think based on the trailer, the only thing I gleaned was that it's going to be like a bigger map. Yeah, it's not going to be like little sections of map. It'll with challenges. It'll be that. But it's just this is a developer that literally lives like 45 minutes from me. I think they're in what Kitchener or Cambridge, Ontario.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've watched a few videos on how they develop games, like their philosophy, and they go through certain levels of Celeste and their mindset and how it was developed.
cool.
And just I have so much faith in this next game because of listening to what they think about as they designed it and their designing process. I was like, this is so cool. It gave me a lot of confidence. So I'm really stoked for this one.
Cool. I mean, it's I'm stoked for it too. It's one of those games where it's kind of hard to get too excited because it's so far away. But I'll probably buy it for Switch Pro, Switch 2.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. They also had some trailers for some upcoming fighting games. I know a lot of people were excited about that. Street Fighter 6 is coming June 2nd, I believe, and Tekken 8 is coming at some point next year. Do you have any thoughts on either of these games?
I mean, I'm not really big into fighting games. They both look. I think they actually do trailers pretty well, both of them. If I was to get one, I'd actually probably get Tekken 8 just because I haven't played a Tekken game in a really long time. But I'm just not into fighting games, so I don't have a lot of input for this.
That's how I feel. I felt though overall, graphically speaking, I wasn't that impressed with Street Fighter 6. Something about it looked really empty. I don't know if you watch some of that gameplay again, like this, and it just doesn't look super graphically impressive. Where Tekken 8 kind of, I mean, at least the trailer was hard to tell what was gameplay and what wasn't, but Tekken 8 looks like it's got just more kind of just better looking, straight up.
That's how I felt too. Like I just, Street Fighter 6 didn't look bad in the other trailers, but this time, again, it didn't look bad, but this time it just looked really underwhelming. Where Tekken 8 was like, damn, this looks awesome. So yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah, and the thing is with games like this, I'm the same way. Like I can't really justify a full price because I don't find they engage me that much. But like way down the line, playing on a Game Pass, sure. So later in the show, they didn't really show, but they kind of re-showed Baldur's Gate 3, which has an early access this year. It's made by the team that made Divinity: Original Sin 1 and 2. I know a lot of people are excited for this because Baldur's Gate's a big franchise, and it's kind of like it was the staple action RPG, multiplayer action RPG. So this one might be surprisingly good. Baldur's Gate number 3.
Yeah, I think though, I was reading into this for our competition, and it's in early access now, and I think people are really upset with it. I think this is the game that people were like, "Oh, this game," like they were really, really bummed about.
Why?
Maybe I'm thinking of a different game. I don't know, because people are playing it right in early access, and people are just like, "Oh, like there's a lot of things that aren't right with it."
Oh.
But you know what? Now that I've talked about it, I think I'm talking about a different game. I think I'm talking about Darkest Dungeon 2. So not Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
I just know there's a lot of hype around Baldur's Gate because it's been so long, and we'll see. And they also showed a Diablo 4 trailer, which the leaked release date of June 6th. That Halsey perform a musical performance for it. Yeah, I mean the trailer didn't do too much for me, but it's probably a day one based on what I've seen and heard. It's gonna be huge.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge. Day one for sure.
It's why that this goes back to why I was saying maybe I can see Final Fantasy 16 getting pushed because June's already has Diablo 4, it already has Street Fighter 2, so it's like it's just so stacked this first half of the year that I actually think we'll probably see more delays to the second half of the year than we might want,
Just to spread it out.
Yeah, I don't believe that all these games are being pushed out the first half of the year because the second half of the year is stacked, and I can easily see Final Fantasy becoming Sony's big September game, and things like that. So
I just don't see Street Fighter, Diablo 4, or Final Fantasy 16 really overlapping too heavily. Even a few weeks spread out isn't that bad.
Yeah, you're right, and it's such a different audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, Diablo 4, it's gonna be wicked. Another one they showed that I actually, this is the one thing that surprised me because normally I wouldn't care at all. It's Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, and I've never even like I didn't even know there was a number one. Do you know what I mean? I'm like I'm so not really
Yeah,
following
yeah.
this series or this. I mean, I like painted Warhammer as a kid, but I didn't really I don't understand how this is popular. I guess it is.
And they actually have multiple games coming out too. It's not just like one game. There's like four different series
Who
of
is
games for
developing
Warhammer.
these?
I have no idea.
I mean, cause this game, the gameplay trailer looked freaking awesome, and it's the first time I've been saying this for a long time, but a lot of third person shooters, they don't have a lot of enemies. Like there's very few like the Days Gone does, and I think that game Outriders that you like does, but this game looks like it has tons of enemies rushing at you like battle style, and I'm like, whoa, I'm into that. That looks cool, and like lots of breaking, environmental damage and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
I don't really know what to make of the game. Like I just don't. I just don't know much about it. Um,
Yeah, like I got excited too. I think for me, just because I don't know a lot about the developer or the franchise or the series, or I want to watch like 20 minutes of gameplay nonstop. Like I want to see from the start of the game, the first 25 minutes or something.
yeah.
That'll give me a better read of what the game is and what it's like. Because right now it just looks like crazy killing and stuff. And like, was that actually what the game is? Like, how does it work?
Well, it was actual gameplay clips. That's what impressed me about it. It was all gameplay clips.
Hmm.
But you're right. Like it could be something like the Order 1886 that looks really good in the snippets of gameplay, but then it's like a 2 hour game.
Yeah, like it could look like Evil West, right? Where Evil West is very much like that, where there's a whole bunch of enemies and crazy killing and chaos and fun. Um, but yeah, what else is there? I guess, or how does it flow?
I guess for me, I just am very, especially after Callisto Protocol, kind of didn't deliver. I'm very. I will look at the developer and who's making it, and the fact that like that Warhammer 40K isn't being made by a big publisher and developer kind of makes me less confident.
Hmm.
Like I just can't remember the last time a big third person, fully 3D AAA game came out from a no name developer. Not to
Yeah,
say they're no not to say they're no name, but it's like it's not EA, it's not Ubisoft, it's not Activision, it's not one of the big four publishers. So I don't know.
yeah.
There's not really much else here that I got too crazy about. I don't know if I'm missing anything you're remembering. Like they had a lot of DLC trailers, Cyberpunk and Call of Duty, and what do you think?
Yeah, like
Am I
other
missing anything?
other games look cool. Like like Remnant 2 looks kind of interesting. Wild Hearts looks kind of interesting. Lords of the Fallen looks kind of interesting. But I mean, those we'll see what shakes on them. Yeah, I think we kind of hit everything.
In terms of the who won the awards, I'm very happy that Elden Ring won. I definitely deserve to win.
Yeah,
And I also think it's great that Kirby, Splatoon 3, and Bayonetta 3 all won awards. Because those are three games that I absolutely love this year. And it's nice to see them get some appreciation because they are kind of those, lesser talked about games in the AAA Western space,
hmm.
Um, but yeah, overall, it was a pretty good show. You have anything else from the
Uh,
show? Like,
no, really, we kind of hit every game that I want to talk about.
yeah, and Jeff Keighley, if you're listening, good job, good job. Next year, get better security, but just get Flute Guy back, all right? Okay, Derek. We also were talking about kind of now that this VGAs have happened, and we know Metroid Prime remake's not coming this year. We kind of have a good landscape of what 2023 is going to look like, and it's going to be a pretty disgusting year.
Yeah, in a good way. In a good
In a
way.
good way, like good disgusting. Just too many games. And so we kind of said like we can kind of choose our top five games. Like we kind of know there's not going to be any surprise announcements for games coming out in February. Like we have a land map or a road map for probably all three
Roughly,
publishers. Yeah.
roughly for the first 6 months.
Yeah,
There might be a few games, but yeah.
I really don't think we're gonna see a lot. I actually don't think Nintendo's gonna announce a single other game. I think in terms of Nintendo's release date, we've got Fire Emblem, Kirby, Octopath, Bayonetta,
Zelda.
and then Zelda. Like that's their first half. I don't think they're going to come out with a surprise April announcement.
Yeah, they still have they're gonna have Splatfest. They're gonna have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe new courses. Like I think that they're plenty fine. I think until after Zelda.
Yeah, and not to mention Nintendo Switch Online games like GoldenEye and stuff like that, and 1080. I'm really excited about that. One thing I did notice, I don't know if anyone noticed this, it looked like when they showed those games in their, they had like an NSO trailer during the Game Awards. I don't know if you caught that, but it was the
No.
first time we've actually seen gameplay of 1080 snowboarding and GoldenEye running presumably on Nintendo Switch Online. And yes, the frame rates looked a lot better. And that's something that replaying Pilot Wings now, I mean, it's so much better with the improved frame rate. I can't even put into words. So to go back and play Excite Bike and 1080 snowboarding and those kind of games with improved frame rates is I'm into that, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but kind of I chose a top 5 games I'm excited for 2023. I think you probably did the same.
Yep.
We should go through our list. We should go through our list now. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first with my honorable mentions because I just want to say them real quick.
Okay.
So I had honestly, like you said, this year's disgusting. I had probably like 17 games that I could have put on this list, and I narrowed it down to 7, and I ranked the top 5. But the honorable mentions, we already talked about. One of them is Horizon, the DLC, and the other one is Octopath Traveler 2. I'm just really excited. I loved Octopath Traveler 1. I think they're going to improve on it in every single way. I'm excited to get into another RPG. I love the sprites. I love the battle system that they had. So and it's coming soon. So I'm really excited that that'll be my nice February game.
And I really think they're going to take the criticism they got about the first one to heart, because they seem to be a developer that really takes
Totally.
feedback properly. So I think they're going to intertwine this. Wasn't it like people wanted the stories to be more intertwined or something? So they're definitely going to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any other runner-ups?
Just that in Horizon DLC.
Okay. My runners ups were Diablo 4, which I'm just excited because I love the art style, and I also am just looking forward to that, like getting that game and seeing all my friends play it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like the big cultural Zeitgeist online game. And my other runner up was, I've already mentioned, Armored Core 6, just because the idea of playing a mech in a modern big world with beautiful art style, I'm just so all about. It's such a rare setting for a modern game.
Nice.
What's your number 5, Derek?
So my number 5 is this might be higher on your list, or you might have not even thought about it. My number 5 is Pikmin 4.
Oh.
And I put it on there because I really love the Pikmin franchise, and this game doesn't have a release date, and there's probably a really good chance it doesn't even hit 2023. But right now it's slated for 2023, so I decided to put it on there. I'm just excited to get back into Pikmin and play a new one. So yeah.
Did you really think I'd forget about Pikmin? Like,
No, but I just, again, because it might be 2024, I thought maybe you'd skip it or something.
yeah, I think Pikmin 4, I think we have a 60-40 chance it comes this year. Just based on the fact that Nintendo really doesn't have a lot announced for 2023. I know Zelda's going to take a lot of air out of the room, but I can definitely see Pikmin 3 getting like a big unveiling in their early year direct for an October release, My actual prediction is that when they unveil the Switch 2 in the early part of the year, Pikmin 4 will be kind of like one of their showcase, like that'll go along with their Switch 2 showcase, let's say.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Redfall. Just because I've been looking forward to it for a while, and I like the idea of it being like a more focused open world, like not a giant big wasteland, but a focused open world taking place in a town that I can play with my friends, or you and I can play. I know it's going to be free on Game Pass. And Deathloop, like I really like the feel of their games, Arcane's. And something about Deathloop didn't land with me, and I'm just looking forward to like fight. I think their game feel works well fighting monsters and fighting craziness, not fighting humans. So I just think it looks like a really fun game, and we know it's being polished, really, really polished. So I really there's no part of me that thinks this game will be disappointing in any way. So at the very least, it'll just be a fun game to play with friends.
Yeah, like I'm really excited for Redfall 2. It was actually the one game right below my honorable mentions I decided not to mention, um, just because the only person I'd be playing it with really is you or maybe my other friend that has Xbox. I don't know a lot of people that have Xbox, so I'm excited to have Game Pass, but I just worry that like we'll start a character together or a campaign and then we just our times won't sync up and then I'll just never play it as much as I wanted to, or I'll end up playing it alone. Just kind of defeats the whole kind of coolness of it.
But I think
But
you and I can still.
I'm excited for it too.
Can't you and I still play with other randoms? Like I don't know how that really works as well on Xbox, but I think you and I can make a room and play with two other randoms, right?
For sure. I just mean the thing is like if you join other people or they join you, only the host gets progress on the story,
Oh.
right? So it's like if I join you, then I don't get any progress from my character. I get like skills and stats or whatever, but I don't actually progress the story. So it's the moment we stop playing together, I have to do all that stuff again.
I think I remember hearing
So
that, yeah, but I also feel like the game's been delayed so much they may be rethinking that. And B, I also think it might be the kind of game that's like it's like not really linear anyways. It's like, maybe it's 5 hours to beat, but like there's different challenge levels and new challenges coming out through DLC. Like I think it might be a little unconventional that way.
yeah, we don't really know what it's all going to be. Like I'm excited, and I'm excited to play with you, and I might end up just playing a single player character too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just think other games trumped it for me.
Yeah, and for me, I think it'll be the first time I end up using my Xbox surround sound headset.
Nice. First time. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I don't play online much.
So my number 4 is Resident Evil 4 remake.
Okay, just so you know, that's my number 4 as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm super excited for it. Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil, and yeah, I can't wait.
Same.
It's right around my birthday too, so it'll be awesome.
Same here. I mean, to be honest, part of me had the instinct to put this higher, but I had just completed a run of Resident Evil 4 on Switch. So I think if I hadn't played it recently in a long time, I wouldn't be as stoked. And to be honest, I originally wrote on my list Resident Evil 4 remake / Dead Space remake because I'm really excited for both. I'll probably buy both on the first day. But ultimately Resident Evil 4 I just cannot wait. I think it's going to be so good, and I think my hype's going to really kick into gear like the week before. Like I'm excited, but I just know the week before I'm like, oh my god, this is actually happening.
I didn't realize you were so excited for Dead Space remake. Like I want it, but I'm not like so excited I'm going to get it day one. Like I'm not hyped for it.
I don't know. I watched
it wouldn't make my top 5.
I watched a gameplay of it, and it just looks really polished and smooth, and it's just an excellent game. And it there's not a lot of games like it. I mean, other than Callisto Protocol, there's not a lot of games that are exactly like it, and it's I'm just in the mood. You know what I mean? I'm just in the mood for some horror. And the other thing I know is that it's gonna have crazy sound design. So I'm just really excited for January. I'm gonna put my headset on so I get 3D sound, and it's just gonna be freaking awesome and horrifying. Cool. What's your number 3?
Yeah, so I had Pikmin 4, I have Resident Evil 4, and I have for number 3 Diablo 4.
Wow, 4s. The year of 4s. Yes, last year was the year of 3s. This is the year of 4s.
Exactly. Yeah, like I grew up on Diablo 2, like one of my most played games of all time. Diablo 3 I played the hell out of on PC and PS4. So Diablo 4 it just looks awesome. It looks everything I want. I think they have a good idea of what didn't work with Diablo 3 and what they can kind of change and make better. And it's coming soon, and yeah, I'm really stoked for it. And plus, again, all of my friends are PC gamers, and a lot of my friends do play Diablo like hardcore, so I'm really excited to play with them too.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because Blizzard uses their own servers, I could play on Xbox, you could play on PS5, and your friends could play on PC, and we can all play at the same time together.
So they've confirmed cross progression and cross save,
not cross
but
play.
They haven't confirmed cross play. I'm betting there will be cross play between Xbox and PlayStation, but there won't be with PC.
Okay, it seems a kind of a rarity to get cross play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like for example, Call of Duty Modern Warfare has cross play.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but you can turn off and on between it and PC. So I think they might just
I
not do
see.
that
Yeah.
for Diablo.
People on
Yeah.
PC, because they can be way better with like, optimized. They have like way bigger. They have a way bigger screen. They've got the mouse. There's ways like I wouldn't want to play against someone on PC either.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Diablo 4, you're all on the same team more or less, so that's cool.
Yeah, they just haven't mentioned anything about it, so I don't want to get my hopes up. But yeah, I'll definitely be playing with you, hopefully.
Yeah, and the thing with Diablo 3, I enjoyed it too, but I played with a friend who kind of like was so obsessed about upgrading my stuff. He'd like take my Switch and kind of, get me upgrades. And like you said, it took a lot of the fun out of it. It took all the fun out of the exploring for me. And I'm kind of excited to go into Diablo 4 like just on my own. You know what I mean? I'm going to play online, but I'm not going to go in like asking you how to get the optimum
Yeah,
build right away. Like it's
you don't want to. My rule of these games is like you don't care about min maxing. That's what's called min maxing. Is like optimization. Um, my rule is if you're still killing enemies and not dying all the time, just keep doing what you're doing. Like you'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to be killing. You don't need to be killing things as fast as humanly possible at that level at that moment. Like some people are like that, but play it for the ride.
Yeah, it's like people getting Animal Crossing and instantly time traveling to get as much money as possible. It's like I don't know why people find that kind of stuff fun, but teach their own.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Starfield. I'm very optimistic about this. I think they're going to position as their big Xbox Microsoft exclusive, and it's kind of fulfilling like childhood dreams. You know what I mean? Like Breath of the Wild fulfilled that dream of being able to climb anywhere. Red Dead Redemption was kind of like that cowboys thing. Like the games that I imagined as a kid are becoming real, and Starfield's one of them. Like to be able to travel planet to planet and kind of just do it at your own pace. And we don't know a lot about it, but everything I've heard sounds great. And I can I can get over a little bit of the jankiness that will come with the Bethesda game. I'm just ready to immerse myself in a space adventure. My only hope with Starfield is just it doesn't come out anytime around May. I kind of hope it's a fall game. Like polish it. Make
Yeah,
it big.
I'm hoping September. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the voice acting will be big, and I think it's gonna be a standout game, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, I say being big. I mean, it didn't make my list because I'm not that into Bethesda games, but yeah, I get your hype. All right, my number 2, which I think is your number 1, is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow, not your number 1.
No, though honestly, the first 2 could have been interchanged. Like they were so close.
Okay.
Um, even the top 4, but yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Super excited for. I mean, I'm really hoping, like you said, like you're predicting that it comes with the Switch too. Yeah, I just been craving some Zelda and some open world goodness, and yeah, I'm excited for it.
It was funny. I mean, I'll just spoiler. It's my number 1. But it's funny that when they did during the Game Awards, they had the award for most anticipated game next year, and he almost laughed. Right? He almost laughed like it's just so obviously this game, and every poll.
No, he laughed because the audience cheered so much louder for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a massive game, and I really think it's gonna like be Nintendo's biggest release ever. I think it'll do better than Pokemon like in its early sales, believe it or not. Breath of the Wild is such a staple game and sold 25 million copies. Like Breath of the Wild is actually has outsold like Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it actually is a bigger seller than Pokemon now. And just the hype is off the chain, and the amount of time they've spent and the way they've been hyping it really lets me think that it'll be massive. And I think that even if it doesn't come out for Switch Pro, which will disappoint me, if it's just a regular Switch game, I think the art direction and the design and the structure of the world, I just think it's gonna be huge. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be. I don't see how it will disappoint with all the time they've had.
Yeah.
But anyways, my number 2. So my number 2 is obviously Pikmin 4. I love Pikmin.
Oh.
It's Miyamoto's baby game. Is his baby, and I think that based on my prediction, I think Pikmin 4 will come out later in the year, and it'll be a Switch Pro, Switch 2 game. It'll also be on regular Switch, but I think it'll be on both. But I think it's going to be really great visually. and I'm really looking forward to the fresh perspective on the series. Like, it looks like they are, bringing the camera to a lower, more action oriented perspective, and um, this is the game I've been dreaming about for years, and I've wanted it every single Nintendo Direct and every single E3 and every single announcement. I've wanted it, and it's finally happening. So and it looks great, and Miyamoto's behind it. I bought the T-shirt. Uh, I I can't wait. It's gonna be so. There's something about Pikmin that no other game does. No other game has that
Yeah.
feeling. It's like it's comfortable but action packed. It's tense but relaxed. It's like happy but sad and scary. And it's
I mean,
everything.
Tinykin's got pretty close. Like, I agree, it doesn't quite hit the same things as Pikmin 4, but you got to admit that it does hit some of those notes.
Tinykin's great, but it doesn't have the you don't feel like you're building a base, like almost like semi StarCraft, where you're like building your army
like
and strategizing,
like an RTS.
And you don't really lose them in the same way. There's not a relationship with them, and there's just not the creativity with the alien bosses, and there's not the kind of like the dystopian undertone story. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Derek, I want to know what your number one is, because I really don't know.
I'm just surprised that this didn't make your top 5. I guess it wasn't as big to you. My number 1 is Hollow Knight Silksong.
We don't know it's coming out. We don't know it's coming out next year.
Well, yeah, we do actually, according to the Xbox showcase.
Oh,
they said
okay.
everything's releasing in the next 12 months, and it was shown. So it should come before June. Who actually knows, though? So I think it's coming next year, whether it's the first half or not. But I think it's coming next year. I'm super excited for this game. Love the first one. But like I said, I could have replaced it with Zelda. I was excited for both. I just think Tears of the Kingdom, I just know it's going to be very similar to Breath of the Wild. And I think Silksong, again, it's going to be very similar to Hollow Knight. But I think Hollow Knight, the first game, is just still such an unknown. It's only one entry that I think there's a lot more to kind of unpack there.
True. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for Silksong, but when I think about the first time playing Hollow Knight and my experience playing that, and my first time playing Breath of the Wild, my experience with that, like, there's no comparison. Like, one kind of overwhelmed me with, brand new game feelings in a game, and the other one was kind of like an amazing top of the line, best iteration on a well-known kind of style of game. It's like the best Metroidvania. Right. And I don't know, something Hollow Knight, the first one, didn't really excite me. It's one of those games that kind of creeps up on you just how well made it is, if that makes any sense. Where the other games on my list are more like, explosive trailers and overwhelming the senses and getting these grand visual experiences. To me, Silksong is more like it's just such a well made game, but it creeps up on you how great it is. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And also, I kind of forgot about it. It probably would be my number 5.
Nice.
Anyways, Derek, we're running out of time a little bit, but let's get into some games we've been playing.
Okay.
Because I've been playing quite a bit. As you mentioned, I played I played a chunk of Tinykin. You recommended it to me. I really am enjoying it. It's like a relaxing game to me and comfy.
Yeah, it's a good palate cleanser between some intense games.
Yeah, and then also just I love like the being small and a huge perspective. It just feels really cool to like explore this giant room with like intricate details, and the graphics are really, really sharp. To the point where after playing things like Tinykin and Sonic Frontiers, if I jump right into Splatoon, it feels like I'm playing a really low resolution game. I don't know if you experience that. Like, I love Splatoon, but it takes me a little bit to adjust. Like, I'm like, oh wow, like Splatoon is really low res compared to Sonic and Tinykin. I'm used to play like they're 4K, they're sharp. But anyways, yeah, Tinykin I'm loving it so far. I'm definitely gonna beat the whole thing.
What level are you on?
I'm just on I'm like halfway through the first major world. You know what I mean? So I've really just scratched the surface.
First major world.
Like you do
level?
the little intro part, and then you find your base, and then you go into that first level where there's the ants and they're worshiping. And
in the church, yeah. That's the first, yeah. You haven't seen any of it. The levels get better and better, I find. Each level gets better than the last.
I'm hoping there adds a little bit more complexity.
Yeah, I mean it is a simple game, but just the wait till you get to like level 4, 5, and 6. Like they're just really cool levels.
Okay. What do
It's a
you?
short. It's a short game too.
I'll beat it. Yeah. What about you?
So yeah, I played that game too. I'm gonna go through the ones I've played a little bit so far. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the new courses, they're good.
Yep. Great.
Somerville, I just started. Plague Tale Requiem, I'm just getting back into. I've already talked about it before.
The sequel, right?
The sequel, yeah.
Okay.
I tried the Forspoken demo. I played it for about maybe 45 minutes. It really didn't click for me.
I've heard very negative things about this.
I've heard both. I've heard if you give it enough time, people are saying like this is awesome. That this is like the first time you really feel like a true mage casting all these crazy magic spells. But apparently it takes a while to really get used to it. They threw you in with too much stuff for a demo, where in the main game people have already confirmed that you build into this level of how many spells you have. I just found it didn't feel the way I wanted it to feel. It felt like I didn't have full control and felt like a lot of menu swapping. Again, I might give it another try, or if this game comes on Game Pass or is cheap, I might pick it up just to see it. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a miss for me. And one of the other small games I'll talk about is I just started playing this game called Chained Echoes on Game Pass.
Okay.
And it's really, really good. Like it doesn't have a lot of reviews on Metacritic, but all the player reviews, it has like a 9.5.
What kind of game is it?
And it's like so basically it's one guy made it. It took him 7 years to make, and he wanted to emulate like a JRPG, like from the SNES era.
Oh, it's that one. You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like the Stardew Valley graphics, but it plays like Chrono Trigger. Like it plays so quick and snappy and smooth, and the combat's good. It's interesting. It's fast. There's no random battles. You run quick. The dialogues are clear and concise. Like everything about it is like almost like all the quality of life features I want in old SNES JRPGs. It's there.
That's almost something that, like, for me, you just listed every complaint I have about that kind of game and said that it fixes it. So I might get interested in that.
Yeah, like again, I've only played for maybe 90 minutes so far, but I'm like super into it. Like it's just cool. Like I like it a lot.
Is it on
I'm
Switch?
excited to get into that more. It's on Switch, but it's also on Game Pass.
For me, that kind of game is such a handheld Switch kind of game.
I know, yeah, but I just wanted it for free. But I really liked it.
Cool.
Like it so far. Yeah.
So I think we talked. I beat Somerville.
Nice.
Overall, considering how long I was looking forward to it and how much I love Inside and Limbo, it was disappointing. But there are some moments of it that are, I would say, brilliant. So
don't spoil too much. I'm not going to play it.
I'm not going to spoil too much, but you'll know when you're playing. You're gonna have those moments. You're like, this is super cool, and then you're gonna get to moments you're like, wow, I'm like, this is not as super cool. And I think that it's a mismatch, right? But some of the online, like the Metacritic is like 68, way too low. It's not that. It's still competently made. It's not broken. And there's some decent light puzzles, and the graphical presentation is extremely ambitious, but they just overshot and it didn't quite pull it together. It's kind of a mishmash of 3D, 2D. But I'm still super excited for anything this developer does. There are moments in this game that capture that brilliance that I had hoped it would. It's not the majority of the game. You'll know what I mean when you get to those moments. And also, I will say it's been a complaint online. Just the story is just, it's not good.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't beat, but I'm at the tail end of Sonic Frontiers.
Nice.
Definitely going to be on my top 10 list. I really, really liked it. Really fun. Like you said, it's a brain off kind of game. And it's like I'm playing Tony Hawk or Wave Race, or one of those games where just playing it is fun, even though you may desire more from the environments or more from the bosses or more. It's like a little bit silly, the game. Like, for example, like I upgraded my full upgrade tree in like the second level, and now I'm just still getting the things to upgrade my upgrade tree, and I have like hundreds of them now, and there's nothing left to upgrade. So like there's just a lot of like Sonic team kind of quality of life non-improvements. So but still it's just fun to pick up and play in the moment.
Nice. I have one more game.
Okay.
I've been playing this game honestly more than I should have. It's unbelievably addictive, and it's also like it really isn't that captivating on the surface. But the more you play, the more you realize like it's really good.
Vampire Run, right?
Yeah, Vampire Survivors. Yeah, so like I've been playing that game nonstop. I didn't 100% it, and I didn't get all the achievements or unlock all the secrets or whatever. But I played the hell out of it the past few days.
It's on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, that's how I'm playing it exactly. I gave it a go, and I think you'll play this game for 20 minutes and you'll absolutely hate it.
Okay.
Because the only control you have is the analog. Like all you do is move around. But there's so much more to it as you get through it. And it's so addicting. Like it's one of those kind of, it's almost like, it's not a clicker, but I'm sure you've heard of those games like Cookie Clicker and all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. It has the same kind of addictive personality where it's like you get through it and you're like, okay, I could stop now, but like, let me just try the one thing I got now, like the one new unlock I got. And you try it and you're like, oh, now I'm in a full new run. I got all these new things. And then you beat it and you're like, oh, like now I got one new thing I want to try again. You just like keep getting into another run.
Yeah. I dig that. But I if you tell me I won't like it, I probably won't.
Well, again, it starts off simple where like you just feel like you're moving your guy and that's all you do, but you get into like the game's like kind of broken where like, you know, eventually you'll get so insanely strong. It's like hilarious how awesome it is. And there's a lot more strategy beneath the surface, but I don't know if you'll give it enough chance or time to like get its hooks in you.
Is it on mobile or Switch? It just looks to me like the kind of game I'd play on Switch or mobile.
So I don't know if it's on Switch, but on the Game Awards it announced that it just came to mobile.
Okay, you think I should do mobile or try to use a controller?
I would try it on Game Pass and give it play it for 30 minutes on Game Pass and see if you like it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm into those kind of like addictive games, and you know, Sonic has that too. Where I swear to God, every time I play, I'm like, okay, I'll get one more thing, and then you get that thing, and it shoots you out there, and you're like, oh, but just along the horizon, there's that one thing, and then you end up playing for another hour. So yeah. I can get roped into that kind of thing. I guess the last thing we played a little bit of Big Run mode of Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Which I had a ton of fun with. I think it was awesome. I mean, it's really just a small expansion to Salmon Run, but it's definitely a fun thing to look forward to however often they do it, to play in a new map, Salmon Run.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, yeah.
It's actually too bad that I wonder how often it'll be. I hope it's not too infrequent, because it's like, it seems like a better map to me to play Salmon Run. Like, yeah. But I just love that Splatoon 3. It's such a great game. I love that they're just kind of keeping up with new things, and I think that's going to continue. I think next year we'll get new things. I think we'll get the DLC next year. I think it'll just be an always game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, Derek, I gotta go watch White Lotus season finale.
Nice. I'm gonna go finish my movie Smile.
Ooh, that's a good one. Good one.
Yeah.
Cool, Derek. Okay, well, this is the Nintendo Bros podcast signing out.
This is Derek. See you later.